Hi, welcome back. This will be chapter 47 of ShutterBug. This is like my third time trying to record this in chapter 55, so we're going to just jump right into it. Real quick, serious message. The author leaves a trigger warning for implied suicidal thoughts. They have like little flags in the text, but I am not 100% sure how to translate that into an audio format, so that's like super noticeable, so I'm going to... You know what? I'll put timestamps. I'll put up timestamps here right now for the implied suicidal thoughts if you want to skip them. If not, I hope you all stay safe. Let's get into the chapter, I guess. Wait, shit, before we get into the chapter, the kidnapping counter has updated to 5. Now we can get onto the chapter. The same thing happened, then again, and again, until Peter sees something new. Standing in his old apartment, he watches as young Peter runs through the door, a laughing May and Ben behind him. This was when they'd gone to the museum for Peter's birthday. They had stopped for ice cream before heading home. May makes her way into the kitchen. She was making her stew, Peter's favorite. Ben and Mini Peter had started a game in the living room, cops and robbers to be exact. Ben had pretended to be a burglar and stole the princess's jewel, which had just been a handful of rocks from a paperweight nearby. Mini Peter would chase him around before catching the bad guy and returning the gem. Peter smiles at the scene. He misses them. Next is before he got his powers. He and Ned were going to build a new Lego set. The Millennium Falcon had more than 7,000 pieces. They stayed up all night building it while playing Star Wars reruns in the background. They'd say the words in time with the characters, laughing at themselves while doing impressions. Peter blinks and he sees him with Ned and MJ sitting at a lunch table talking about what they were going to do during the summer. MJ wanted to go to the largest library in New York. Ned wanted to go see a local Comic-Con. And Peter just wanted to hang out with his friends. He got to meet the rest of the Avengers that summer. Properly meet them, that is. Most he fought in Germany. He got to work in Tony's lab too, which was amazing. That's when he learned Karen's code. He smiles for a moment before the images in front of him shift violently. Now he stands in a place he almost forgot. After his aunt died, no one remembered him. Peter had to find a place to stay. That very place is now in front of him. A small, rundown apartment that was less than 100 square feet. He managed to talk the landlord into less than what he was asking for, which seems like a lot for how small the apartment was. He did have an attached bathroom. Small miracles. He can see the couch that had been left there, the one he'd almost bled out on if not for Matt following him home worried. Not that Wade was far behind. That was the same night they found out his identity. Not that it meant that much anymore. No one remembering Peter Parker means no one would think he killed someone. He doesn't have anyone to protect either, so he guesses it doesn't really matter anymore. So why was it so hard to take his mask off? To let them see his face? When Peter had mentioned it later on, Matt had told Peter it was trauma. Peter didn't bring it up again. Shifting again, Peter tries to keep his balance. He's sitting on the closed toilet in his bathroom, looking at his razor. He figured he needed to start shaving soon, but the hair never came. Now he just has it sitting on his bathroom counter. He could see May again, and Ben, his parents, Tony. His vision seems to zero in on the existence of the razor. He shakes his head and looks back to the shower. He'd been waiting for the water to heat up, but he's starting to think it won't happen. He could... No, he wouldn't want him to. But the shower head whistles at him and brings him out of his thoughts. He undresses and climbs in. The razor follows him. He stands there for a minute enjoying the long-waited hot water before starting on his hair. Scrubbing at his scalp, he looks at the metal blade. A bit of shampoo drips into his eye, making him squeeze them shut. Rinsing the soap out of his hair and eyes, he moves to put the body wash on his small loofah. He runs a hand over his chin. No hair, no need to shave, no need for a razor. He wrapped his one towel around him and he takes the blade and puts it back in his box, throwing it away. It wouldn't help anything. Now he's sitting on the edge of the roof. He's in his suit. What would happen if he didn't send out a new web to catch him while he swings? He can think of a few possibilities. If he lets himself fall a little further than he needed while patrolling, then that's between him and his web shooter. He stops dropping so low when Wade starts to pop up on his patrol. The gun for hire chatting so much, Peter found himself enjoying the feeling of rising better than falling. He lets himself smile as he does flips and tricks in the air, at the highest point of his swing. He starts to smile more after he met the two men, something he hadn't done in a long while. He thinks about how much he smiled now. Even in another world, he mourns his lost ones. But even in another world, he can smile and make friends. A harsh blow to his side brings him back. Right, Lex. The man tries to grab his face, but Peter bites it. He yanks his hand back with a glare. Still so much fight. This would be over if you just gave up, you know. And why the hell would I do that? Peter almost laughs. There's no point in explaining if you don't care to learn. He adjusts his sleeve. Listen here, Mr. Clean. I don't care what your grand scheme is. You say help isn't coming? Fine. I got out before, I can do it again. The man scowls. So you say, but if all goes well, why's to say you'd even want to? The smug look on Lex's face throws Peter off. Peter needed to get out of here before whatever they're planning happens. Peter puts on a calm face, not wanting to show the older man how his words affected him. A few punches won't make me stay. I'm not a pervert who gets off on pain like some people. Lex's face goes red at the insinuation. How dare! He raises his fist but gets stopped by a glove hand. Enough, Lex. The boy needs his rest, otherwise this will all be for nothing. Lex glares at Peter but walks away. Wow, taking orders now, Lex? That's a new low, even for you. The man doesn't react aside from a clenched fist. You know, Peter looks back to Slade. You shouldn't antagonize him so much. He might even go easy on you. I don't want to hear that from you in particular. This is your second time doing this, and you got Luther in on it too somehow? I don't even get what you see in having me as an apprentice. The man shakes his head, taking his mask off. The same reason Tony took you under his wing. You are something special, Peter. Truly. The way the man says it, the warmth in his tone unsettles Peter. Need to get out of here. Wait, Tony? Slade nods. That's right, Peter. Tony, our good friend who was taken too soon. Peter squints at the man, shaking his head. No, you don't know Tony. Don't. Slade puts a hand on Peter's shoulder. I do, Peter. Think about it. I was there on your birthday all those years ago. We went to the museum. After that, we got ice cream before May made her famous stew. You did always love it. Peter thinks his heart's gonna burst with how fast it's beating. That can't be right. Slade's from this world. He's never met them. He was never there. He's lying. Then how do I know? Peter's head snaps up. The man could tell what Peter was thinking? He was right, though. How could he know all of that? I don't believe you. Slade sighs. Tony asked me and your aunt about an internship. In reality, he took you to Germany to fight against the Avengers. Slade can tell Peter still doesn't trust him. You had a fever when you got your powers. May wanted to take you to the hospital. You told her not to. Peter shakes his head again, his arm touching something soft for a moment. Think about it, Peter. How else would I know? Peter stops all movement as fast as he started. That's it. You want me to think? How about I think about how you got in my head while Luther used me as a punching bag? This shocked Slade, his mournful face sliding back into his usual one, if not a bit more interested. You truly are impressive, Peter. Not many could have figured it out that fast. Peter feels sick. Slade had visited every corner of his mind, had seen who he truly is, and I still want you to join me, even seeing all of it. Peter glares at the man. Can you stop reading my mind? Slade smiles and turns to leave. I'll let you have your rest. You'll need it for the move tomorrow. He needs to get out. Now. He can't wait until they move him, when he's at a second location. But first, he needs to get this thing off his head. Slade didn't seem worried about it, so he must think Peter can't get it off. But if he does, and he isn't ready, then Slade will know. Can he make a plan without thinking about it? Think, Peter, think. He pauses. Better yet, don't think. Pacing back and forth, Jason accidentally slams his hand on the table. Aren't you supposed to be this great AI? Why haven't you found him yet? Jason shouts a bit at the screen. It is not my fault the technology is so far behind the mass public.
The tech is so old I can't pin it down normally. So don't go blaming me for your plan not working.
Jason blinks. You know, you've got a lot of personality for an AI. He feels a bit like the computer scoffs at him.
When you've been around Peter for long enough, you tend to pick up on it.
That makes Jason smile a bit. Yeah, he does seem to have that effect on people. Here's a beat before he adds on. And AI? Karen hums at him, but turns their focus back onto finding Peter. Can an AI multitask like that, or does it divide attention? The numbers keep scrolling across the screen.
I can have this conversation with you while running through the data at the same time, without it interrupting either. If I really wanted to, I could do even more, but I'd rather not.
Jason shakes his head a bit. Future tech is crazy.
I think I have found him.
Jason leans forward, almost smacking his face into the screen. Where?
It's not an exact location, but his location was last pinged around here. His attempt to contact us was bounced off of different cell towers. That makes us an area of interest.
Jason looks at the map in front of him, his hand reaching for his phone before pausing. How can he save Peter but still get Slade caught? They wouldn't take any evidence from the Red Hood. They purely take it from Batman, and he had to be deputized. He needs a plan, and fast. Karen, I need your help. Time to get to work. Peter closes his eyes, thinking about random things. Math formulas, how he's going to start building his portal, what to do on his next date with Jason, so on and so forth. All of this to build up a mental block. A shout at Slade's presence in his mind. Hey, look here, in neon lights to point to the fake thoughts. He thinks about secret things in the corner of his mind, since he knows Slade will see through his half-hearted diversion. Letting his wrists relax without thinking about it, he starts to hum an old song. It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen. His wrists start to slip out of the binding, the sweat and blood from his wrists helping them slide out. Once his arms are free, he starts to examine his legs. For the first time in history. He noticed the bonds weren't very strong, then he just pulls the rope off. Tall and dark and lean. Tall, blonde, dark and lean. He stands up, rubbing his wrists as he makes his way to the door. Strong and tough and rough and mean. It's raining men. The door opens with a quiet hiss and he steps out. Hey, men! He continues to hum the chorus even though he knows it's out of order. He hears the door opening behind him. Quickly jumping onto the ceiling, Peter watches as Lex makes his way towards the room he had just left. Peter starts to crawl along the ceiling away from the man. What? At a shout, he looks to the other end of the hall before whipping his head to the other side. Peter lands on the ground as his head turns towards him. They stare at each other for a moment, when Peter flips him off and starts running down the hall. You! Ignoring the man, Peter makes his way down a different hall. Seeing Slade, he skids to a halt. Nope! He starts to run the other way as Slade starts to run after him too. Glancing back, he can see both Lex and Slade chasing after him now. Slade is much closer than Lex, given his enhanced speed. Peter pushes himself to run faster. He does. Pulling a quick and last-minute left, he starts down a different hallway, then another, until he ends up face-to-face with a panting Lex. This is as far as you go, brat. He huffs out each word. Peter takes a step towards the man, causing him to step back. What? He doesn't get to finish that sentence when Peter rushes him. Throwing out a punch, Peter watches as Lex narrowly avoids it. Using his momentum and Lex's, he pushes Lex further in his descent, causing his head to hit the wall. Hard. He slumps, but Peter can still hear him breathing. He's fine. He starts his run down the hallway again when he sees the exit, the light from the outside pouring in from a window. Not so fast. Slade's in front of him now. How? Slade points to his head. Peter was still wearing the headband. And so was Slade. I take that this isn't a one-way contact. Peter closes his eyes and tries to find Slade's presence in his mind. Gotcha. Pulling on the line, he finds himself in a dark room. He sees a man with white hair. He's lived a long life. You fought in a war. I did. Peter pushed forward. You've been a hero, helped the superheroes when they needed it. Yes. Then, why? Slade shifts. I'll show you. And now Peter's looking at a familiar suit. Robin. Not the current one. He was the first. The best. He sees how Slade had chased after them, antagonizing him to see his reaction. He joined me for a while. Peter sees the same boy in a mimic of Slade's suit. Screens behind him, and Peter already knows what they're for. Slade feeding him answers for his unasked questions. That's horrible. The older man hums. Maybe so, but necessary. Peter turns to look at the man. The why? Unspoken. He gets an answer anyway. He was perfect. Is perfect, still, to this day. And you're just like him. Peter can see how Slade's been comparing him to this young Robin and tries not to be sick. He pulls himself out of the mindscape, huffing as he catches his breath. He looks up at Slade. I'm not some replacement, and I'm definitely not some kind of pet for you to use for your amusement. Slade takes a step forward. Peter doesn't move. You're sick. He rips the headband off and pulls it until it snaps, small sparks popping as the wires are torn. Move, Peter demands. Make me. Glaring at the man, he rushes towards him before jerking to the side. When Slade matches him, he flips over the man's arms. Enhanced or not, you're still too old. Slade moves to rush forward, but Peter jumps back. Just a bit more. Slade tries again, but Peter steps back, his hands grabbing the door handle. Spinning and opening the door, Peter makes a dash outside. Slade catches up and grabs his arm. Freeze! They both do as they look to their right. A police officer. One Peter knew well. Dick Grayson, the police officer, was pointing a gun at Slade. Let him go. Slade straightens his stance, dropping Peter's wrist. Taking the chance, Peter bolts to Dick's side. Slipping behind him, he watches. Put your hands behind your back and slowly turn around. If you insist. Slade slips his hands behind him and he quickly pulls out a katana. Dick fires a shot at the man, but he moves out of the way. As more cop cars arrive, Slade starts to back up. The older man reaches behind him. Dick shields Peter with his arm. Slade throws a small knife towards Peter. It lands just by his feet. A parting gift. When Peter looked up, the man was gone. Not touching the knife, Peter bends down to look at it. A small lotus flower was etched into the blade. Someone comes by and takes it into evidence. Jason comes running up, and Peter immediately pulls him into a hug. Peter thinks Jason's asking him a question, but as he sees Lex getting dragged out and put into a police car, seeing as the man went into a rage the second he woke up, Peter hides his face in Jason's chest. Stay with me, please. He doesn't even realize he said it. Maybe Slade had gotten to him more than he thought. He can feel Jason's voice vibrating through his chest as he speaks. Yeah, okay. I'm here. I won't leave you, Peter. I got you. Peter feels like he's being rocked, Jason having started to sway Peter to help him calm down. He's so tired. A nap on the way to give a statement would be fine, right? He can feel Jason saying something. He doesn't hear it, though. His last thought before falling asleep was one of Jason. He's warm. Okay, and that's chapter 47. I don't have much to say. I guess just onto the blooper reel if I have a blooper reel. It's also the chapter with trigger warnings for suicidal thoughts. For once he knows. I need water. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna take a sip. I'm gonna take a water break. Fuck. And why would the hell had seen who
When you've been around Peter for a long... When you've been along...
His wrists slip out of the binding and his wrists... Peter closes his eyes and tries to feign Slade's presence